everybody. It's June. And it's a CU podcast, completely unnecessary, for Tuesday, June 6th, alongside plucky Ian Ferguson.
Howdy.
I'm affable Pat Contry. Talking about stuff that you want to hear, hopefully, this week. We're talking about the final games announced for the Sega Genesis Mini, an R-Type Final 2 Kickstarter, the Xbox Game Pass coming to PC, an NWC sold for a low price. Get out your wallet. You'd be able to afford one. The Atari VCS being on Fox Business News, and your possible Q&A. Ian, how was your weekend? You didn't see Godzilla, you told me before.
No, I'll go see it this week. I'm not expecting much. I imagine it will be amusing. I liked the last one they did, the last US one. A lot of people did
I saw it.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. I mean, there's only so much you can do with giant monsters hitting each other in the face. There's only so much you can do with it, with the genre, right?
Yeah.
There's a ceiling to this genre.
I mean, and there's new ways you can do it, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna get fights. You're gonna get some
monsters
human drama.
slapping each other in the face.
Yeah. I like the big moth. Mothra is my favorite.
The big moth. Well, he's in this one.
Yeah.
Right. It was in the first. Is it he or she? Whatever. We'll see.
She sometimes.
Sometimes.
I'm
okay.
pretty.
they decide.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's gotten middling reviews. A lot of Godzilla fans have enjoyed it, but some haven't. You said that James didn't like it.
Yeah, James. I spoke to him on the phone recently.
So
and he brought it up. He didn't like the fact that he said that all the fights were at night in the rain. And in the first one, they were all at night.
Yeah.
And then some were I think a couple were in the rain, from what I remember. There's like 3 big fights in the movie.
Yeah.
And then his problem with the one in 2014 was that you don't see Godzilla for like over an hour in. He shows up in Hawaii. It was a great sequence, the Hawaii, the tram thing.
I love that.
That was a good sequence, if I remember. But yeah, the night fights are because it's cheaper CG. You can fudge the details.
Sure.
I mean, they did that way back with Ang Lee's Hulk, where it's like everything was at night. You couldn't see like what the hell was happening with him. Remember? It was like, what?
I hated that movie.
That last fight. Remember? It's like you couldn't see what was going on with him versus.
I couldn't see what was going on because I wasn't fucking paying attention.
That movie
at that point.
That movie was a fucking trip, by the way. Go back and watch that 2003 Hulk movie.
Really? Go back.
It's a trip, just because the whole thing is just a trip to watch with all the panels moving. Like they try to make like a comic book. It was like that weird dark time of comic book movies.
So I saw that movie along with Terminator 3 at a drive-in. And I hated both of them.
Double feature?
I hated those movies.
Double feature?
Yeah, double feature.
Was that some hanky-panky happening in the back?
No, we were just bored.
Okay.
But yeah, it sucked.
So 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think the one 5 years ago did better than that on Rotten Tomatoes. Delivers spectacular kaiju action and reaffirms that cutting-edge effects are still no substitute for a good story. So it sounds like the effects are good, but it's just monsters hitting each other in the face.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, I don't know what people were expecting. But
it's a monster movie. We get them once every like 4 or 5 years. I think they're doing King Kong versus Godzilla next. In this, they basically reestablished. They did a Godzilla cinematic universe because that new Skull Island movie that came out 5 years ago was restarting it because they ignored the King Kong movie that Peter Jackson did that doesn't count with this. So they redid another Skull Island, Return to Skull Island, and they did the Godzilla 5 years ago on this one. So they have a Godzilla cinematic universe, which is silly to say, but they do. So they're going to do a King Kong one.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, cinematic universes, whatever. As long as
King Kong is so much smaller than Godzilla by like a factor of 5. So that's what's going to be so weird. Unless they make King Kong super huge, I guess. Or like 3/4 the size, where he's like punching up like Little Mac. But they got to make Godzilla a good guy in all these movies. So I guess with King Kong, I don't know if they'll have King Kong be the good guy or whatever. Or maybe it'd be like a traditional team up comic where like it says Superman versus Spider-Man, but they end up teaming up against the Joker. And
I saw a very good tweet going around, and it said that it was something like the defining moment of King Kong v Godzilla will be when they both realize they know someone named Mothra.
Oh, instead of very clever.
Yeah.
Their Martha moment.
Yeah.
Very clever. Martha Ra. Very clever. I listened to Talk is Jericho's podcast. I love that everyone has a podcast now. JR, Bubba Ray Dudley has a podcast on Sirius XM. Does a good job. I hear Taz has one. I guess if you have an East Coast accent in a wrestler, you automatically get one for those. But anyway, so he had on John Moxley, used to be Dean Ambrose, and they recorded it before. This is why I love Jericho, because obviously he's sort of like the bridge from the old school wrestler to the new wrestler.
Yeah.
So even though that you're going to listen to something that that wrestling's a work, in the introduction he said we recorded this before Double or Nothing. And I know he attacked me at Double or Nothing, and he gave me dirty deeds. And if he was on the show afterwards, I would have slapped him in his face. So he still puts it on that.
Yeah,
that it's real wrestling. I love Jericho so much. I like model myself to Jericho, I think, to some extent. Anyway, but he had on John Moxley and talked about why. Hour and a half interview. I only listened to the first hour, so to finish it. He talked about why he wanted to leave WWE, and it was everything that we kind of spoke about before, about how it's creatively bankrupt, WWE, and he was sick of fighting sort of the system and basically fighting Vince. He didn't put the writers down. He said the writers sometimes had an idea that might be weird, but a lot of times the ideas came straight from Vince, and then if you push back, there'd be another rewrite of something for him to say. And he said, this is terrible. I don't want to talk about like the people having rabies in the audience. And that's really where it went downhill last year, was when he came back and he turned heel, and then his thing about like wearing like masks so he wasn't infected by the audience. And the whole thing just didn't make any fucking sense at all. It was terrible. And his Rollins feud was disastrously bad. Like, it was just bad. And it seemed like that was the moments last year, like in the summer, early fall, where he said, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore, because he kept fighting against. He's like, he even said, like, I'm a trained professional wrestler, and I know how to put over feuds and get heat and talk to the audience, and now you're having me say this stuff that I know is garbage. And Vince was like, oh, that's some good shit right here. So that's a meme now, where Vince saying that's some good shit right there. And the final straw was when they wanted him to include Roman Reigns' real life leukemia stuff into the promos, and he pushed back on that, and he said he got like Jedi mind tricked by Vince to include it. And I remember watching it live at the time and feeling like, ooh, and you can tell, like, you can see in his face he didn't want to say it. Like, he immediately read it, where he said something like, well, he's like, Rollins, you're going to, because this is after he turned against the Shield after he came back. He said, Rollins, you're going to have to answer to me, but Roman Reigns, he's going to have to answer to the big guy in the sky. And it's just like, really crossed the line bad, mixing in real life stuff.
And it's gross, but that's not the only time that they've brought up.
They did it again, I think.
It wasn't with Ambrose Moxley, though. It was with Slater.
They did with Slater?
No, who's the big guy who came back?
Brock?
No, the one who was I think it was Slater.
Heath Slater's the jobber guy.
Okay, no, it was someone who came back who was big. They were at
Drew McIntyre?
Drew. That's
okay.
It. Yeah,
Heath Slater with Drew McIntyre.
I don't know.
They kind of worked it in a little bit.
He straight up said it. I mean, he straight up brought it up.
But to say that someone's going to potentially die while he's going through literally chemotherapy is horrible. But working
that into anything is awful.
But they did the same thing after Eddie died. They worked. Yeah. They said, or Orton said, "Oh, your friend's in hell." Orton says that to Mysterio, and I mean that was like 11 years ago at this point, 12 years ago already when that happened, right? 2005 or 6 or 7 around there. 2005, I think Eddie died, or 6. So Vince McMahon is obviously morally gross. We know that.
Oh yeah.
But the buck stops with him. So he has he's 73 at this point. 72, 73. He
died in 2005.
2005. He has final say still over the scripts and about everything that happens on TV. He still has his hand on everything. So when John Moxley's explaining this, he's like, even the writers sort of know that it's like, yeah, I know it's from Vince. We can't do anything about it, because everyone's fearful for their job. They're fearful to push back on Vince, because you can be fired for that, or you can be ousted, and it's just a strange situation to be in. I can imagine being a pro wrestler like that and being frustrated. And there's, like I said before, a lot of wrestlers are very frustrated and they want out. Gallus wants out with his tag partner. God, I can't remember their names. And then Sasha Banks wants out. The Revival want out. Luke Harper wants out, and this is all public.
Yeah.
EC3. Oh, and brought up that he had a short-lived feud with EC3, but what he did, and he in EC3, like I said, has been dead in the water. Vince hates him now. So what they tried to do with EC3 is that by this point in time, people knew publicly. They put out a press release saying Ambrose is leaving, which is bizarre. WWE never did that. So then they had a little feud with EC3. Where like he lost in like 2 minutes to a roll up to EC3 Ambrose, which is bizarre because Ambrose is a main eventer and they use him as a jobber. And even Ambrose said like, "What are you doing? The fans aren't going to go for this. They're going to hate him automatically because they're going to root for me as an underdog, even though I'm supposed to be a heel. They know I'm leaving now, and they know what you're going to see in the ring is bullshit because they know you're trying to bury me. And because the fans are smart, they know this stuff. They follow." And he was absolutely right. And so now EC3 is like, he even responded saying thank you and good luck. He didn't say that towards anyone in the tweet, but it was towards the support that Ambrose gave him on the podcast, or Moxley gave him on the podcast to Jericho. So the whole thing's a fucking mess. Everything's a fucking mess. I heard the last Raw was a disaster again. I don't watch anymore, and we need this competition to happen now. We need wrestlers to have even the threat of leaving to go somewhere else. And he reiterated, I think something that Kevin Owens was like talking to Ambrose about like why you want to leave? We're doing all this good stuff here, or it's like we're WWE, and Ambrose was like, I'm this is not what I want to do. Basically, I don't want to be in this environment anymore. Where he said he was like just worn out from years and years of trying to push back against bad ideas. Yeah, and just stuff he didn't want to do. You can see his heart wasn't in it anymore. His heart probably wasn't even in it when he was champion, when they made him goofy. I said when he was world champion, his run was not a good run. No, it was awful. And maybe that was because he was just didn't feel motivated anymore. He was just sick of being. By that point, he was there for like 4 years. At that point. 4 or 5 years by the time he was champion. So yeah, it's just a shame, but better spot right now. So I'm excited for that. Anything else going on in this intro?
I started playing Pokemon Go again.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's been fun. I don't know.
You gonna Pokemon Sleep soon?
Yeah, I'll Pokemon Sleep.
Hey, anything to get you to sleep better, I'm all for. Get you on a regular sleep schedule. If it takes Pokemon, I'm all for it, buddy. If you need a fucking, anime thing to make you do it better, something children play with, go for it.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. Vonnie, as you know, has been playing it fairly consistently since the day it came out, and I don't know. I think we were watching Pokemon, and I was like, And Vonnie uses my phone sometimes when she goes to the events, and I just randomly opened it and caught a Pokemon, and she was like, she freaked out. Because I mean, it's the first time I'd logged into my account in like 3 years. So it's been fun. We went out at like midnight last night and drove around and took out gyms, and I don't know. It's actually, it's a lot different than it was when it started. There's more to do. But that's about the only exciting thing that's happened to me. So, phone games.
This isn't exciting?
Well,
what we got going on isn't exciting?
This is exciting. I'm talking about, things outside of the podcast cinematic universe.
Oh, okay. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to be doing this podcast with you, Ian, today.
I can tell.
Fucking thrilled.
All right. Let's launch in.
So, Ian!
Patrick, Sega announced their last chunk of games for the Genesis Mini, and it was supposed to be 10, but they announced 12. So
bonus games?
So this system is it's going to have 42 games included, and I gotta tell you, it's pretty hard to argue with this full list.
No yawning Triceratops.
No yawning Triceratops, but
that's disappointing.
I'm gonna blow through these real quick. Echo the Dolphin, Castlevania Bloodline, Space Harrier 2, Shining Force, Mean Bean Machine, Toe Jam and Earl, Comic Zone, Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, Gunstar Heroes, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Earthworm Jim, both Mickey Mouse Illusion games, Thunder Force 3, Super Fantasy Zone, both Shinobis, Streets of Rage 2, Contra Hardcore Landstalker, Mega Man The Wily Wars, Street Fighter 2, Sonic Spinball, Phantasy Star 4, Beyond Oasis, Ghouls and Ghosts, Alex Kidd. This is a long...
Or get your degree. You can major in finance or accounting.
In just 6 months.
That's all DeVry Tech fucking...
Yeah. Golden Axe, Vector Man, Wonder Boy, Monster World, Tetris, Darius, Virtua Fighter 2, Alyssa Dragoon, Monster World 4, Kid Chameleon, Road Rash 2, Eternal Champions, Columns, Dynamite Heady, and Strider.
Okay, Ian, I'm not sure I had to run through them like that. I mean, we're probably going to go through some of them again, but...
Yep, we are.
Because no one absorbed that.
Long story short, there's...
a very long story short.
There is almost no filler in this list.
All killer? Mostly killer.
I mean, and looking through this, there's even some stuff that never came out on the Genesis, like officially. Like we've got the Monster World 4 English translation. We are getting the mysterious Sega Tetris.
Can we put these lists in alphabetical order on websites?
That would be nice, right?
That would be so. They're doing it by chunks of games.
Yeah. Darius, which I don't believe ever got a Genesis port, they said. So we're not just getting games that we'd want to see. We're getting new stuff.
Darius wasn't on the Genesis?
That's what the article said.
Well, Tetris is the one that was in arcades.
Yeah. I'm not saying that they weren't around. I'm just saying they never officially got releases. Like Darius never got an official
Then how is it
release.
around?
I don't know. You tell me. That's what the article says.
Okay.
I don't know.
It was around, but okay.
But I mean, honestly, on here, you look at something like the PlayStation Mini, and half of it was filler or crap no one wanted.
A totally exclusive port of Darius, I guess from the arcade one at the time.
Yeah.
And whatever late 80s version was. I'm not a Darius person. But that's pretty okay. I guess it was an easy conversion from whenever the arcade tech was. I don't know.
I mean, that's
maybe it was a proprototype and they had it around.
I would imagine it's got to be that, because the arcade version of Darius wouldn't just port over, because that uses a big, long widescreen.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be interesting to see what it does.
But then the Tetris is interesting because that's the one that never. That's a weird one that you see on eBay from every few years, but I can't tell if it's real or if it was a couple of ones thrown together that go for like thousands of dollars. That was an arcade. There was an arcade Sega Tetris though. There was that, and then the Atari one as well. So there was two versions. So it's interesting that they have Tetris on there, even though it was never on the Genesis. They added columns, which I said you got to get columns on there. You got to put columns on there. The original puzzler for the console. I'm impressed that they hit a lot of sweet spots. By the way, the Japanese one does have some differences, right?
Yes, I believe it does.
It has Musha Lesti Full Metal Fighter Eleanor. Is that the full name? Party Quiz Mega Q is on the Japanese one. Puyo Puyo Su. Puzzle and Action Tant 4.
Maybe that's for Yawning Triceratops.
The Hybrid Front. Is that? I never heard of that.
Yeah, I don't know that
So
one.
there's Wrestle Ball, and I'm just eyeballing to see the different ones. Yu Yu Hakusho, Makyu Toitsusen, and Slap Fight, MD, Medical Doctor Slap Fight. There's more. Mado Monogatari. So there's some differences there. Target Earth, Assault Suit Lanos, Target Earth. Anyway, Alicia Dragoon. That's a hidden gem, Rue. That Pat might have covered.
It's a great game
with the Dominatrix potentially.
That is getting a U.S. release as well. So yeah, it's a bummer that some of the shooters like Musha aren't on there, especially given the price of Musha in the U.S. But otherwise, I mean, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine is. I mean, that's Puyo Puyo. It's good. Honestly, Columns is maybe the most non-essential game on here.
Really?
I mean, it's not good. I mean,
it's all right.
It's iconic. It's not good.
Well, sometimes you need some iconic. It's a black box game for Genesis. It's a graph game.
So, anyways, it's looking really good, and for the price of $80, I mean, that's a really, really excellent list of games. Bloodlines goes for a shitload. Contra goes for a bunch. Melissa Dragoon is not cheap anymore.
Gunstar Heroes goes for a decent amount.
Gunstar Heroes, yeah. So this is pretty great.
You got the Mega Man game on there.
Yeah, that was only in Europe.
So this is what I'm going to say. So you got a couple bonus games, 42. Still no sports games, which I'm just, it was probably the licensing cost. Obviously, a lot of these are, there's a lot of first party games on here that obviously Sega doesn't have to pay for. The Capcom ones are probably cheaper to license, but they did get the Mickey Mouse stuff on there. So maybe those were tethered to those properties. A lot easier to get those.
Possibly. I also think that there are good sports games on the Genesis for sure, but honestly, I don't think anyone's going to miss them.
Really? No one's going to miss them. I'm going to miss them, Ian.
I think congrats, but I think they'd probably rather have.
They can't add on an NHL game?
It would make sense. I just don't think it's the biggest.
Or Joe Montana. NHL wasn't a big Genesis. Are you really going to say that?
I'm saying I don't think it's the biggest deal that there's not one on there.
I think it's a big deal not to have one sports game, not to represent an entire genre of games. I do. What are you, Mr. Anti-Sports Game now? Where
No,
they're not real games?
I like sport. Why didn't I say that? I like sports games.
I would venture to say that
I don't think it's necessary.
I would venture to say that half the kids that owned a Sega Genesis either had a Joe Montana or an NHL game.
Holy shit. So did I. I'm just saying I don't think anyone's going to miss them on
And I'm
here.
saying I'm missing them, Ian.
Okay.
And if I'm missing them, so are all the other kids that played NHL 94
Because you're going to
95.
get that Genesis Mini and open it up on day one and plug it into your TV.
Yes. I did that with the NES and the Super Nintendo Classic.
You're so full of shit.
What, you think I'm lying? I didn't play the Super Nintendo Classic?
You're going to be fine without a sports game.
You know I reviewed the NES Classic, right?
Yes.
I did a whole
Yes.
video on it, right?
I'm aware.
That did very well.
Yes. I'm well aware. I just don't think it's a big deal that there's not a sports game.
And I'm
on
telling
there.
you, it's a deal. I'm not saying it's a big deal. It's a deal.
Let's make a deal.
How about you decide, if you, the listener / viewer, are you kind of weirded out there's not one sports game on here to play? Not one.
It's strange. It's not going to be a big deal.
And not
no
even
one's
just like,
going to fucking write a bad review about it because it doesn't have a sports game.
I'm not saying it's going to be a bad product. I'm just saying it's a slight misfire not to have it, because all the other minis have it on there. So it's like a little disappointed. That's all. And no Moonwalker. And no Moonwalker. You did get Ultra Beast. You got some of those first runs there. You got Space Harrier on here?
Space Harrier 2.
Is it on here?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a first run of, that got you going in 89, early 90.
Real quick, they in Japan only so far, they've announced a completely pointless accessory that I think is rather adorable that'll be coming out for this at about $37.
Fucking ridiculous.
It's called the Sega Mini Tower, and it's literally it's literally plastic. It's little mini Sega CD 32X and a little Sonic the Hedgehog Mega Drive cartridge
that you tower up.
Yeah, that you put together to make the Megazord that everyone loves.
Just to sell you more plastic.
Just for shits and giggles.
With no function. It's $30, so you get the Mega Drive CD, you get the 32X and the cart. You get all.
Yep.
They're not separate. You plug them in.
You get them all together.
So I guess you're taking out what was the charm of this being mini, and now you're making it bigger. You're making it not
medium.
a mini, a medium. It's a medium.
It's a Sega medium.
It's an average. It's a Sega average now. The Genesis average, Mega Drive average.
So, anyways,
I wonder why they wouldn't put that out in the U.S. I just wonder why that wouldn't be here.
I don't know.
Because now it won't match the style, because it's a Mega Drive and not Genesis. Now, if they had it where you got some sound on it, or maybe the boot up sequence was different for like that. Come on,
cute.
Come on, Sega. I could do your thinking for you. You can't put something like that in there. The little cute, CD spins around and you see Sonic show up. There's a few different songs.
I love the Sega CD intro.
Was it 2 or 3 songs? There's at least 2 different songs around.
There's the main one, and then there's a second one when you reset. Like if you are loading another game without turning it all the way off.
Oh, I thought there were different revisions that they were different.
Oh, yeah, it might be. I just know the because when we've been using it with the Mega SG, I've noticed different songs within the same.
Because the top loader, the whatever, the front loader was like the 1.0, and then the flip up one was probably at least like 1.1 or 1.2 at that point. I know they had different revisions of the software when you boot up. Anyway, all right, well, that's cute. You know what? I will get this Genesis Mini. Even without a sports game, I'll get it, Ian. And even though two of the games you can't play with 3 buttons, Turtle Champions and Street Fighter 2.
That thing's on its way out.
No, it's not. Okay.
So, in the world of retro games, continuing, there is a...
in the world of retro games.
There is a Kickstarter for a new R-Type Final 2. So, R-Type Final came out on the PlayStation 2, I want to say roughly 2004, because it was the last game I remember playing and beating before I moved to San Diego. And that was it. There was people felt like that really might actually be it. R-Type Final might have actually been final, but no,
the final.
But no, we're in the works for R-Type Final 2. So the trailer is not the best. It shows a lot of cutscenes, but at the end, it shows basic standard R-Type gameplay. It looks like they've got it down. It's being done by Granzella. Granzella was formed from ex-IREM staff members. So basically, IREM is licensing the property to Granzella to make this, and Granzella's old IREM staff. So it's still basically being made by the original company that made it.
Well, this is what's weird about this Kickstarter. They only put a week on it. So, in one day plus, they've got over 3,100 backers. They raised $375,000 of a $416,000 goal. So I guess they're counting on what that means. They only need like 3,500 backers that want an R-Type game.
Yeah,
and that's enough for basically what would be like an indie title. PS4 they're advertising, Switch, Xbox One, and Steam. So what do you get here? First of all, they didn't have a translator, so there's some English here going up. For R-Type Final 2, aiming for a brand new, the best shmup ever. Using the latest technology, create and bring out the newest game of the side-scrolling shooter legend R-Type series into the world. Yes, that's what you're trying to do. The trailer is bizarre, just because they talk about like evoking emotion and things of that nature, and it's very I don't know. It's we are embarking to create, what is it? I'm just trying to read some of this. We're embarking to create on a project to create the latest R-Type title. They show some past footage. There's some 2D footage. A lot of it's just like 3D, sort of like cutscene footage for some reason that they're showing off. I'd say the majority of the trailer is that. They talk about the creators, obviously. Why Kickstarter? Well, we want to get paid and it's good advertisement. So based upon this Kickstarter video, if I didn't know the people involved, I would not pledge to this, just because it's so vague. The video, it doesn't really tell you like what the game's really going to feature and things you like about shooters. But being that you said the team's on it, then obviously it's probably legit.
Well, and R-Type is huge. I mean, it's one of the premier shooters. So I think that's why they're getting away with it not being quite as well presented as it could be.
So there's like 5 different fighters here. Excuse me, 4 different fighters you have. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I believe they say they're going to do exactly what the first R-Type final did, which is bring back those 100 fighters. Actually, it was 101 different fighters.
They had 100 different fighters?
101.
How different were the 100 fighters? Or were they just like
a lot of them were actually fairly
different?
I mean, everything from you're playing as like multiple ships to you can play as a force, the little pods that you shoot. You can play as literally the power-up ships.
Okay.
I mean, obviously they weren't all super unique, but they did have different loadouts and different stats, and it was impressive.
Okay, it actually says right here, dozens of fighters that appeared in the previous series are planning to make renewed appearances. Okay.
Yep. And they talk about, I like this right here.
This is going to cost, maybe talk about how much it's going to cost.
About $30 is what they're saying to get the digital copy, 60 for the physical copy.
Okay. And then stretch goals that I don't know why they only did a week, because if they did this for like a month, they could have hit some of the maybe the $1 million stretch goal. Subtitles in different languages. Really, at $700,000, is it that much to localize? How much subtitles? How much R-Type dialogue is there?
I don't know.
A traditional game.
Not generally very much.
I was going to say, like, shouldn't cost you that much.
Some of these are pretty
additional stages.
These are pretty interesting. Reproduce and incorporate one of the stages from R-Type Final, the original. Reproduce and incorporate one of the stages from R-Type Delta. This is R-Type 3. Leo.
That's cool.
2. This is actually, I think this is incredibly, these are great stretch goals.
The price is just nuts.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to reach that.
But I mean, the price is it's another $100,000 to do one stage. Another $100,000 to get subtitles in Chinese. It's like, no.
Okay, 2,500,000 is what gets all 102 hours. 102
Okay, so they're
ships.
promising dozens, but if you reach 2.5 million, you'll get all 102.
Yep.
So do you like the art style? Are you okay with the 2D polygonal sort of?
Yeah,
thing?
I mean that's what R-Type Final was. At this point, if we want to see some of these games get made that we want sequels to, it's going to have to be 3D. I mean, people.
It's just easier.
Yeah, everyone wanted, what the hell is it called? Not Curse of the Moon, Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. Everyone wanted that in 2D, but, it was in 3D and people complained initially, and now everyone thinks it looks decent. I mean, you're getting the game that you want.
Sure.
You got to give a little for some of these.
Do you want a Pixar movie or wait 20 years and get one Disney traditionally animated movie? Come on.
For shooters and 2D side-scrolling platformers are not the biggest market right now. So, if they got to cut corners to make it cheaper, they have to.
They're licensed by IRIM, it says.
Yep.
And about to make a new title of the legendary side-scrolling shooter game R-Type. So, you have, by the time you listen to this, you have like 6 days left to... 6.5 days left. Time you watch this on YouTube, you might have 3 days left to get on board, but I'm sure you'll be able to purchase this after the fact.
Yeah.
This is really marketing and getting pre-orders out.
Yeah, there's no... it's
not coming out till December of next year? Holy shit. Okay, so you got December, you got a whole year and a half. So you'll be able to buy it before then.
Yeah, they're only looking for $416,648. That's not a budget to make the game. This is getting the word out.
Sure. All right, so are you going to pledge, Ian? Are you gonna maybe?
Yeah, actually, I will.
Okay. You heard it here. Ian gets his endorsement. Maybe he'll be a sponsor on the CU podcast in the future. All right, Ian, there was a kerfuffle online regarding Super Mario Maker 2's latest announcement about the multiplayer mode, if you want to talk about that. There's no article here for me to look at. I'll just Google it.
So there's nothing to really look up other than Super Mario Maker 2 is going to have online multiplayer. But it will only match you up with someone random. You can't match up with your friends. And this is dumb as shit. This is very stupid. I have no idea why Nintendo is so intent on being incredibly ass backwards when it comes to multiplayer. Because they wouldn't be Nintendo without it, I guess.
They're on brand. It's on brand.
It's crazy to me that you would actually include the multiplayer, but not include a way to meet up with friends.
So if I make a stage for us to try and whatever, pair off and compete against or whatever, get through, before in the Wii U you could do that.
No.
Oh, you couldn't?
No. Basically, what they're actually... So, you make stages in the Wii U and Super Mario Maker 2. You make stages, you upload them, people can find them with a code and play them.
I get
They're
that.
talking about simultaneous multiplayer here.
Okay.
So I can load up a stage in Mario Maker 2 and find a random to play with, but I can't actually pick someone from my friends list.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the reactions to it were interesting. A lot of people felt like they needed to, fucking defend Nintendo on this incredibly weird decision. Just seems like a very strange hill to die on. It's okay to admit Nintendo doesn't do everything right. It's okay to admit Nintendo is very dumb sometimes. Yet people were out there calling... there were people who were getting a little overworked about it, but someone was like, asking for that is entitlement. It's a common inclusion in games these days. It's not unrealistic to think that maybe... if you're going to put multiplayer in a game, that you would be able to find your friends.
This is what they said. They gave a statement. This is true as the game is now. You cannot create friend lobbies online. You can only play online with randoms. You can still get friends together and play with local play. Okay. And you're free to play with 4 players on one Nintendo Switch system. You can also still challenge your friends to your creations. Yes. Okay, that's what I was afraid of. No. That would be insane. You can still challenge your friends to your creations and take on their designs through course IDs and having them follow your makeup profile. Okay, that's what I thought they were getting rid of. No. Not actually, you need multiplayer 2 at the same time.
That's what I said. Yes.
That's what I mean. But to me, multiplayer can also mean we take turns.
No.
Okay.
So... it's not the end of the world. The game is going to be fine. The game is going to be fun. It's just very specifically weird to be like, okay, we're adding a new online multiplayer mode, but no friends. And Nintendo is... their whole online policy is very strange. We've had the capability to put a Mario Party game online with friends since the Wii, and they've never done it. The 3DS ones never had online multiplayer. The Wii one doesn't. The Wii U one didn't, and now the Switch one doesn't either. So they go out of their way.
You play with random people on the Switch.
No, you just can't go online at all with it.
Oh,
which
that's insane.
Also makes no sense to me.
That'd be the perfect online.
Yeah, the online party board game, or the multiplayer party board game doesn't have an online mode, and at this point, it seems like it never will.
That's bizarre.
So yeah, I mean that's the news. Is it really going to affect the game that much? No, it's not. I mean,
how many people play the multiplayer versus just the single courses?
I don't know, because the multiplayer is new. That's what I'm saying.
But you're saying they're chopping the legs off at the start from
doing that. They're making a stupid decision on it right from the get-go.
Okay.
So there's that.
Well, it's easier to put out without two people. But
is it?
I know. I
mean, is it?
It's less resources to have to deal with that, I guess. I don't know.
I guess
you got to do the net coding for that mode or whatever. I don't know.
But it's already in there.
I don't know what they're thinking. They don't want people having weird interactions with children. Maybe, I don't know, online. And Nintendo, they've always been erred on the side of caution to the extreme when it came to interaction with people.
You would think that they would keep people from playing against randoms then.
I don't know, Ian. I don't know what to say with this. Well, with
Nintendo's dumb. That's what we're going to say about this.
So with the randoms, then you're going to team up to play a level. You don't know who they are.
Nope.
You don't know if they're good or not. I don't. Maybe you'll make a random friend, Ian. Can you add the random friend, please? What if you
actually? You probably could, just because that's how a lot of Switch games work. And I think like they do this on PS4 as well. If you play with someone that you meet up with randomly, like
you can favorite them or something,
you can go out of the game to your friends list and go recently played with and add them.
This is what you got to do. It's like the lottery. You just keep randomly playing until you hit your friend. Just keep randomly playing until it'll happen. You got to run it. You got to run it 24 hours a day until you hit your friends. Wow.
Yep.
Unless you like target a region, it's like, well, we'll do random people in Southern California. Me and Ian will
you can probably target a region.
Okay.
I mean, Mario Kart lets you do that, for instance, and so does I believe Smash does too.
But Mario Kart you can play with a friend though.
Yeah, that's true.
It's really bizarre. That's one thing to say. It's obviously Nintendo. I don't know what you're thinking, Nintendo.
They're not.
They're not thinking. Even us corporate shills are saying there's a problem with it, right? As you gulp out of my Pathanias Punk beer.
It's a glass, Pat. It's glass.
Yeah, but I have like 30 different glasses you can take. You always take mine. So what happens is, Ian, I haven't drank out of that glass in months because you always use it, and so you get it before me after I wash it. I just did the dishes yesterday.
You okay? You want me to call an ambulance?
No, I don't want to call it the way. No, I'm just saying. That's just. I never get to use my glass. That's all.
Okay. Anyways,
moving on. All right, Ian. News out of modern gaming world from Microsoft. Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass is coming to the PC.
Sweet.
It's a subscription service. We know that. It's coming to Windows 10. The company is promising a curated library of more than 100 titles from third-party devs, including Bethesda, Deep Silver, Devolver Digital, Paradox Interactive, and Sega. Okay. Big increase is from Engadget. A big increase over the current crop of the PC-compatible titles. Those ones that you buy, and then you can put the disc in, basically cross-platform, that are currently available through Game Pass. So, all right, they're going to intend to make first-party exclusives available as well through the Game Pass on the same day as the general release, including titles coming from Obsidian Entertainment, In Exile Entertainment, and other studios that Microsoft now owns that they've been gobbling up. Okay, and subscribers will also get a few of the perks, including discounts up to 20% off games in the Microsoft Store. All right, Ian, so we've mentioned before, I've said it, you might have said about Microsoft is caring less and less and less about where you play their games as long as you play them.
Yeah, I mean, because they're going to make
They're gonna make money.
You never really, from what it's always been said, you don't make money on the console. You make money on the licensing fees. If you're going to make money on a console, it comes later. So Microsoft is realizing we can make this money back on a PC. Sure, buy the console if you want to be a name brand Xbox player, but
sure,
we're going to put this stuff everywhere because it's going to make...
And we'll sell you our first party software and take all the profits.
Yeah, exactly. So... And for people who are playing, this is kind of win-win. I mean, the Game Pass has always had some pretty good stuff, and at launch, it says that it's going to have Gears 5 and Age of Empires 1, 2, and 3 definitive.
I like Age of Empires.
I like Age of Empires too.
It's a dumbed-down civilization, but I like it. I like it.
So yeah, that's neat. I think that this will be quite popular.
What does it cost? Microsoft Game Pass. I looked it up. Microsoft Game Pass.
I think it's like $20 a month.
Let's see.
Because I'm pretty sure it was cheaper than PS Now.
$10 a month.
Boom.
Or you can get it for $1 off. With 6 days left, I guess there's something going on right now to try it out for $1 for the first month.
Gotcha.
It's like those porn sites.
Yeah.
$1 for 48 hours.
Yeah.
Get all the wanking in you can in 48 hours.
And don't forget to cancel.
Don't forget to cancel. It's like $30 a month, and we're gonna shame you in the letter coming in the mail. I don't know. I've never subscribed to a porn site.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no comment. So there's nothing in this article about if you need a top end PC to run these games. I'm guessing at this point an average PC should do it.
I mean, a lot of these. I mean, if it's got Age of Empires in there, it's going to be games across the board of older,
yeah, but you want to
newer.
be able to play the newer games too, not just games that came out 15, 20 years ago.
It's not any different than playing a AAA game on Steam. You're going to need some sort of decent computer,
or you just tone down the settings potentially.
Yeah,
they put those in there. So yeah, I guess they'll figure that out as well. Let's see. They're going to promise to bring Halo the Master Chief Collection. So that'll be good for a lot of people. And according to Engadget, this is a shot at Epic Games. Sort of shot across the bow. You have all these online wars now between Steam and Epic Games and Xbox and Microsoft going at it.
And one thing that apparently they're doing is the Xbox, the Microsoft Store is getting rid of what's called UWP. I won't pretend to know what Universal Windows Protocol actually is, but what it means is that the same file can be submitted to the Microsoft Store, Steam, and I believe the Epic Store. So basically, the requirement that Microsoft have its own build basically to upload it to the store is gone. So now
its own wrapper basically,
but it's not anymore. Which is good because that's going to make it more attractive for developers to put their stuff on there if they don't have to go out of their way to basically recompile something.
So for $10 a month, you're going to get like 100 plus games, and they'll add more. And then you have the chance to buy other games that come out on the platform as well that you traditionally would have been able to buy potentially on your Xbox One. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, I can't think of a negative here.
Microsoft is just basically saying to people like me, don't worry about spending $400 on a console that in 2 years we don't have to worry about upgrading, whatever. Just $10 a month. You're not going to have every single game, but you're going to have a chunk of games on here.
Yeah. And
you're still going to have those first-party games that, if they're Windows 10 also compatible, you can just buy them for whatever, $60 and play them. Thank you, Microsoft, for admitting that this is the last gen of consoles. Like, this is it. We're basically done. What we've been saying for like 5 years. This is basically it. They're all computers. It's all the same computer shit. It's all the same architecture at this point. We don't have to worry about it anymore. And let Nintendo put out their weird toy stuff on the side. Let Nintendo have their own day in the sun. But if it ever gets to the point where on the Super Switch, this is also available with the same amount of games, that you can get on the PC as well, then that just be game over.
Yeah.
Because then you'll have a handheld Xbox.
Yeah, basically. I don't think you're going to be running Gears 5 on a Switch, but I mean,
Super Switch in the future, maybe.
Let's just say,
years down the line,
knowing that Microsoft and Nintendo are working together, let's say that they make this available and there's 50 games that are playable on the Switch. It's still good. If you're going to get this for your computer anyways, it's like having Netflix at that point. You can use Netflix on your phone. You can use Netflix on your TV. And not all things are going to be ideal for that platform.
That's perfect, Ian. So you'll have some of the games, yeah, that'd be a good idea. Some of the games will maybe you won't be able to access, or else your Switch would melt if you try to. It will literally just melt in your hands if you play the latest Gears of War or the latest Halo 17, whatever the next one's going to be. Yeah, and then Sony. Well, Sony's just trying to survive on their own, I guess, and do their own thing at this point. So, all right, that's good news from Microsoft. Microsoft is going up a notch in my eyes.
Yeah, they've really done a lot in the past 2 years to kind of turn around my opinion on them too.
Stamps.com, proud to be partnering with them for a while now. You know, Stamps.com makes shipping all your packages and letters easy without the hassle having to deal with the post office.
They bring the amazing services of the post office right to your door.
Right to your door.
Right to your door, Pat.
And all you need is a computer. You need a printer and maybe a scale you can weigh your packages on.
Whether you're a small office or larger business out of your home, it's perfect. It's a perfect solution.
With Stamps.com, you get 5 cents off every first class stamp and up to 40% off priority mail. I would know just because I've been using Stamps.com for like 5-6 years. I've been mailing DVDs out, mailing consoles, mailing game packages, mailing T-shirts, mailing pins, everything. So I can abide by how well Stamps.com works for me. So if it works for me, it may work for you as well. Over 700,000 small businesses already use Stamps.com as well, including me. I'm a small business. Right now, our listeners, you guys out there, get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitment. You need that scale to get started.
Whoa.
Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in CU Podcast. Again, 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale without any long-term commitment. Go to Stamps.com, click on the mic at the top of the homepage, and type in CU Podcast. That's Stamps.com. Enter CU Podcast and get shipping and get saving. And you're going to ship with a smile. All right, Ian.
Pat.
It's been a while since we talked. It's been a while since we talked about an At-Games product on the show, and we usually have glowing reviews for the At-Games Sega minis in the past.
Oh yes, they're
all the 18 different types of
and
Ataris they did. But now we got the Legends Ultimate Arcade Machine. So I mean, we have all these what you want to call them consumer level arcades in the past year or so that have been coming out for like in the $300 to $500 range, and before that they were even at like Target. They had like the Konami cheap one years back.
Sure,
that you could buy here. So they put out a press release announcing the Legends Ultimate Arcade Machine, a full-sized, basically an all-in-one console, but now it's an arcade machine. I mean that's basically what you're getting. You're getting stuff like. It's the same list of stuff from At-Games that you got before.
Yeah, so basically this has a lot of that Data East stuff on it.
Good old Data East stuff that's worth $1.50, I guess, to license.
Burger Time and stuff like that.
Joe and Mac.
Yeah, the stuff that you have literally seen on other packages that they've put out. These are just the
At-Games has had like 5 or 6 different all-in-one consoles, the plug and plays. Atari games, ColecoVision games, Data East. It says games from the Tetris company, which I guess would be Tetris.
Yep.
From the Asteroids, Burger Time, Centipede, Fighters History. That
everyone loves
Fighters
History.
Fighting game, Fighters History, Pong, and Tetris to name a few.
So it's 6
buttons per player, 2 joysticks, a trackball, and 2 spinners.
The spinner.
Okay.
So the control layout
sounds like Pat's main machine almost.
The control panel layout is, the most interesting thing about this. It's weird though because it says it here in the text and it shows it on the screenshot. It's not just arcade games. Some of these are going to be the home ports as well. So there will be arcade versions, but there's also going to be home ports.
I don't want to play the home port of Bad Dudes on one of these. It better be the arcade version or Burger Time. I don't want to play the NES Burger Time on an arcade machine. I just don't.
Let's see.
When you go to like the Target and they have those like $10, $12 little mini arcades, and you had to play the freaking NES Burger Time on them.
Yeah. No. So Bad Dudes vs. Dragon Ninja.
Well, that's the arcade name. It says versus
yes,
Dragon Ninja. Okay.
But it doesn't say arcade after it. However, a lot of these Atari games are like Avalanche, football, basketball. They are saying they're the arcade versions. So it'll be interesting to see what actually is arcade and what's what's not. Because boy howdy, who doesn't want to play a little?
It says Star Wars on the front of the cabinet.
Yeah, I know.
If that's Star Wars Arcade, and it says Tron on the front.
Yeah,
that's a coup if you get these games. These were not usually available on these all-in-ones before. If it's Star Wars Arcade, you would be able to play it with the joystick a little bit.
Yeah, it wouldn't be very good. Watch it be like Return of the or Empire Strikes Back from Atari or something like that.
I was gonna say, yeah, you can play it with a joystick. You still can. It's basically a joystick. You can do it. Tron, you need a spinner,
which you have
on there. Trackball for stuff like a Centipede. So that's good.
How would you play Tron with a normal joystick and a spinner? Because you need one hand on the spinner, one on the joystick, and then the trigger to shoot.
That's right. When you're with all the spiders, you need that.
Yeah.
Because you spin the arm, you move, and you shoot.
Yeah, you can't shoot.
Back to the drawing board at games. I guess you need to get You're right. Because whenever I did that, like playing on the PC, like on MAME, you could do it with a mouse, like spin around with the mouse and shoot, and then that sort of takes care of that. And then use a D-pad for the other part. You could do that. All right, well, maybe Tron, you got to rethink a little bit then, because it looks like what I like about this, Ian, is the 20 feet away promo shot, so that you cannot see the control panel all, and you get to see the IKEA furniture setup, bedroom setup when you walk into the store. That's basically what you're looking at. You look at the IKEA display bedroom with a guitar sitting there, and what looks like an iMac. And then you have the Legends Ultimate sitting in this white bedroom.
I'm pretty sure that's a tag board mock-up, and that's why they don't want you to get too close to it.
Here's the thing: it doesn't. It's like these other ones though. It's not a full 6 foot high arcade cabinet. It looks like a 5 foot one or a 4.5 foot one. So I'm kind of. It's okay to play those. I'm not saying it's a cost cutting thing. But you can't. It's a lot harder to stand up on these and like lean down and look at them.
Sure.
You really got to sit down and play these.
Fix-It Felix is on the front as well.
What?
Fix-It Felix.
He is?
It says it on the bottom left.
Wow! They got the license to Fix-It Felix. All right, that was in the press release that I saw, but that's the picture that's there. All right, okay. For me, these are all about obviously the quality of what these cabinets are and versus the price. If these are in the $300 to $400 range, that's the prices that these have been coming out. There's a lot of games here.
If the control panel is good, it might be worth it just for the control panel.
But here's the thing, Ian.
Yeah.
A good trackball costs at least $60-$70.
Sure.
A good spinner costs $40-$50 from what I remember putting together.
I mean, that was a long time ago.
So do you think they're worth less money or more money?
I don't know. I mean, if they're mass producing it for something like this, it's probably going to be less of a cost. Back then, when you were buying it, no one was doing this, so the results were probably...
Well, I was buying the good HAP stuff back then. But, okay, you can buy an illuminated trackball for only $16. Technology's come way down in price. This stuff was $50, $60, $70 10 years ago. So then I'm an idiot, because you know what? They can put a $15 one in here. I don't know if it's good quality or not, but then the cost on this is lower than I thought to do this. What does a spinner cost then? It's $20 for a decent trackball that illuminates a spinner. Do they have cheap spinners? Looks like there's not cheap spinners available on eBay, but it looks like trackballs. Because most people don't play the spinner games. There's not a huge amount of spinner games. You got Arkanoid stuff. You got stuff like Tron where you need it.
It's so key for Arkanoid, though.
Yes, but for this you need it for Tron for this, but we don't know what else you need.
So
it for.
A used official Arkanoid spinner is $45.
A used one. They're not going to source used one. Those. The Tornado one's $95. The Tornado one. I remember that one. The one I had, I think I remember buying. Did my Main Machine have an original one, or I had an aftermarket? I had a newer one.
Yeah.
I think I paid probably $60 for that one. There. All right. So the parts might be cheap enough to keep this at maybe $300 still.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised where they said they said 2 trackballs, right? They said 2?
No, 1 trackball, 2 spinners.
2 spinners.
Yeah.
When would you need 2 spinners?
Warlords maybe?
For 2 players?
Yeah.
Okay. Or for Pong. For Pong. Pong's going to be on here.
Oh, yeah.
For Pong.
Pong.
Okay. It's a Pong thing, basically. Maybe they get Warlords. All right. All right, well, we'll see if this is like other At Games products where the sound is all messed up and games are flipped or at the weird, we'll
all
see.
fucking stretched out.
All right. Okay, Ian.
Yes.
Positive. We're bouncing every week back and forth between negative and positive game preservation news. So they found a Sega Saturn prototype, unreleased beta of Star Wars Rebel Strike. This was advertised. It looked like this comes from obscuregamers.com, which I think is replacing Assembler. The Assembler forums, I think, are being shut down, and they've been the source for this sort of stuff years and years past. So they were advertising a Star Wars game. It looks like in a magazine article back then that's posted on this forum, where it kind of looks like a Rebel Assault sequel. It's in the Rebel Assault sort of line. Rebel Strike, Rebel Assault. They did 2 Rebel Assault games. They did 3. They did 3 of them back then. Didn't they do a third one?
They did a second one. I don't know if they actually did a third one.
Did they do another one? Anyway,
I'll look it up.
They do Rebel Strike back then. Did they do one in the GameCube? Anyway, so there's some footage online now. It's really early. I mean, beta. This could be an alpha prototype, where it looks like it's a third person. You're on like a speeder bike, and you're shooting lots of targets. You're strafing. You're in like, it looks, I guess, kind of like a third person game, sort of like like a Panzer Dragoon sort of thing, where you're going around, you're shooting things.
It looks like there's a little bit more. Looks like there's a little bit more freedom, but yeah, I mean, Panzer Dragoon is probably not a bad comparison. The game actually looks pretty nice for the time and for it being on the Saturn. There's a nice effect with the target. The targets move, they strafe with you. Yeah, the target moves and basically shadows. It shadows across. It looks really nice. And then at the end of it, you take control of looks like a walk or like an ATST, and you're up above shooting down at things, which I don't remember a Star Wars game back then doing something like that. So there's a little map where you can see all your targets and things. Obviously, this is like a proof of concept still. This is very early. Right. I wouldn't even call this a beta at this point. This is like a gameplay demo of doing it. So on the Unboxing Retro is a YouTube channel that has this footage. It's 4.5 minutes of footage here. People are wondering when it was supposed to come out. I had to see about if they're gonna put this online, so you could, I guess, try to burn it to your and play it on your Saturn. That's kind of hard to do. I guess you can burn Saturn games, but they figured that out finally. That was always the hard thing back then. How do you burn a Saturn game? You can do it. Yeah, you can use like pseudo Saturn or something. It was like complicated that. 15, 20 years ago. That's all I know. Yeah, it was complicated. It's become less complicated. They figured it out. That Saturn, hard to crack. That Sega Saturn. Yeah, that thing was a weird system. It's a weird system to crack. Someone was wondering if this maybe because Nintendo was getting licensed to Star Wars games, so that would be they canceled it. That would be my best guess. Someone said that I think I saw someone posit that. Maybe it wasn't in comparison they realized it wasn't going to be as good. I don't think that's it. I think Nintendo probably had a little something going on, because that Star Wars was for a minute very much an N64 license. I mean, there were PlayStation games. You could get Rebel Assault in the Episode 1 games, but there was that Sega CD had Rebel Assault on it. But there was a small moment where Nintendo got Racer first. It got Rogue Squadron exclusively. It was the only system with Shadows of the Empire. So yeah, I don't know. So Rebel Strike, that was on GameCube, but that was Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike. Yeah, and it's a totally different game. So they kind of combined Rebel Assault's name with Rogue Squadron on that one. They kind of did that. But this seems like this was going to be just, you said, a totally different game? Yeah, totally different game. I mean, that would have been... Well, Rebel Strike didn't come out until what? What year was Rebel Strike? It's just the same subtitle. I don't think it would be anything like Rebel Strike was 2003. Yeah. So this is 6 years, 5 or 6 years after this game. Totally different. And obviously the technology would have been a bit different on the GameCube. You probably couldn't accomplish a lot of the stuff on the Saturn that you could do in the GameCube with this. I've never played Rebel Strike before. I'm guessing it's decent. The third Rogue Squadron, it got that one was not as well loved as the first two. Yeah, the second one was fucking fantastic. Okay. On the GameCube, and the first one was good too. But yeah, the second one is amazing. Okay, so check out the gameplay footage. Hopefully this is preserved. They
Well, just copying the ISO, I guess, to your computer. Make sure it's a lot easier, right? You can just do that, unless there's some weird sort of program you need in order to copy. At this point, probably not.
I don't know
with the ISO stuff.
That I do not know.
Let's see. There was an article previewing it. It was in April 1995. UK. What was CVG? What was that? We didn't have that here. That's when it was advertised at 95, and so it was canned after that. I'll link the form here. You can go through it here, and it's fun. It's fun to have this. I was trying to think. Yeah, the Saturn. What was there? Star Wars games on the Saturn at all? We'll look that up. I know the Sega CD. They had the chess game. Let's use good old Google.
I don't know. I don't think there was.
No. I don't think there was.
Yeah, I don't think there was. Because Rebel Assault would have been too basic for them to really.
That was on Sega CD. Rebel Assault.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it was on PlayStation as well. I think the second one was on PlayStation.
So there was, right, Sega Saturn was just like, no, fuck it. We don't have Star Wars. All right, moving on. All right, Ian, we have to talk about the Atari VCS. We have to watch it on the obscenely expensive.
Is it delayed?
We have to watch. We have to do
our thumbnail.
We have to watch it on the obscenely expensive CU Podcastron 8000 here.
The CU-tron.
The CU-tron 8000.
The Cut-ron.
So we're gonna have to do this just because this is an appearance by the CEO on the Fox Business. Let's move our mic so we can talk into him, and I'll pause this every now and then here, and I'll play it. And sorry, Kieran, it might be hard to rip the video out of here to watch this. And let's put the volume up here. We're gonna stop this every now and then to talk about this appearance. It's an interesting appearance, for sure, on Fox Business here.
Look, can I first talk about this? Atari introduces throwback console with classic games. Joystick upgrade. It's a weird thing to mention.
Talk about Atari, okay? I remember this very, very well. Way back in the 70s and 80s, I was playing a game called Pong, okay?
So that guy's about 65 years old, so you would have been early 20s.
But I loved it, and I played it back then. Well, Atari has a new console out, and what they're doing is they're...
First of all, it's not out yet.
With some of those old games...
It's not out yet, first of all. This is going to be a promo interview for a console that's supposed to come out later this year, by the end of the year.
And that looks like a... is that supposed to just be a really clean, like, actual Atari? Because that,
that's probably one that was in by our pal.
That you
Evan
can still play them today. So we have with us today Fred Chenet. He is the CEO of Atari, I think. That's the title?
Yes, good morning.
The name is right, Fred Chenet?
Right, yes.
And this is the console?
So this is the first prototype of the console.
And wait a second. If I buy one of these...
Okay, is it the first prototype of the one they canceled, or is it the first new prototype?
Yeah.
I think that's the original one, with all the individual pieces, because they probably couldn't have tooled the new one already, right, and gotten a prototype together.
I guess.
In a couple months.
Things... I can play Pong
Fred?
again?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, no problem.
How much?
So we'll see. But, it's a, first and foremost, we're still making games.
I know. You got to tell me that you do more than just rack up the old games. Go and tell me.
We're doing games, of course, for mobile, online. So we are relaunching the old classic games. So that's still, the DNA of the company. But we're very proud to announce, so next week we'll be releasing, end of the year and early next year, we'll be releasing this new console. So what is it exactly? First, we, to pay homage to the history.
A lot of talking without saying anything.
Wooden design, and it's that's our way to say thank you.
For the wooden design.
It's not wooden. There's a little bit of wood grain face plate on it. It's not made of wood.
Or if it's some sort of mock-up or prototype, maybe it's actually a hunk of
wood that they just had a carpenter put together.
But it's not going to be that way.
That could be the original prototype that they use in the video. That's not how it's going to be finalized, because they're doing the one-piece tooling. They're not doing the individual rib section anymore on it. So he said first prototype. He said first. I wonder if he meant original. If that's the case, that's not how it's going to look. If that's what it is.
It's going to look similar.
But that's not the prototype, though.
It's important.
I'm buying it for Pong.
Exactly.
He's buying it for Pong. I like this old British guy.
Yeah.
We'll call him Jim.
understand. It's not just the old games, it's all of the new games, and you can stream them, I think,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And it's a computer to boot, right?
So you're going to stream the games?
And it's a computer to boot.
Well, you're going to play the games, but it is a computer technically. So British Jim, I'll call him, is right about that. I don't know his name.
Computer to boot. So you have two modes, basically. First, it's a gaming and video console for the living room. The first use of it is you have what we call the Atari mode, which is based on Linux. And here you will be able to access classic games, new games, and much more. Music, movies, and basically every
Computer
type of
mode.
application for the home. So it's really like first a console.
The front end mode.
And on top of that, and this is what is also new and different from the other consoles, you will be able, in what we call a sandbox mode, where you will be able to download a new or any operating system. If you want to download Microsoft, if you want to download an Android system, we will allow that. And basically with that sandbox
because
mode,
we
you
won't
can
have
keep-
anything of our own.
That's not something that I'd say you want to come out and market, saying that there's going to be a sandbox mode. That almost says like you don't have confidence in
Right.
what else you're offering on, like your own environment, your own ecosystem
That was
of
my
gaming.
immediate takeaway. There is, you can do this because we're not going to have anything
Or
else.
we know there's not going to be enough interest in our ecosystem, our Atari VCS ecosystem in store, so you can buy it to fuck around with your own computer that looks like this product. Right? That's basically what he's saying.
You can buy this and make your own RetroPie
You
with
can
it
make
if you
your
don't
own-
like what we have.
You can make your own computer that you just like the cool look of that fits in your living room. Right? That's basically what he's saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm
pretty much
gathering.
what you want. Of course, this is where we think that this is new. This is really mainstream, and we are very happy
Mainstream?
to be showing it to the press behind closed doors next week. And
So-
it will be end of the...
So last year, did they show it behind closed doors? That was the original.
That was the block of wood with the
Well,
one.
not a block of wood, but that's when the British author had
No,
that
that
cheeky
one
article.
was. It was a.
It was wood.
the actual unit was was supposedly like wooden.
Is that when we got that cheeky article from that British
Yes.
guy a year ago?
That was so good.
Got to buy him some fish and chips, not a sandwich. That was good.
But you still have the exclusivity. And
If I get one,
yes.
can I play Space Invaders?
So
I fucking love this guy.
You'll be able to-
I love British Jim. This is why. Because British Jim was a kid back in 1974, 75, right? Now he's like 65. So Pong, Space Invaders, that's what he played in the pubs. That's what was there. And that's all he gives a shit about.
Yep.
He doesn't care about what Atari did, even in the 80s, it sounds like.
Nope.
Just the 70s, late 70s, maybe 80, 81.
Yeah.
Before he went off to grad school or got his journalism degree or
When
his
he was
finance.
courting the love of his life.
He was at Oxford. I love British Jim. That's not his name. I'm sorry, his name's not here.
access it through a steaming...
Okay. Can I play Pac-Man?
Ah! Wait.
He's just cutting him off.
I love it because all day what British Jim talks about is like oil future prices and this is the one time
He's so happy.
He's like 17 years old again.
He's so, can I play Batman?
Let me put this back a little bit. Okay, because this is important that he brought up Pac-Man because the response is important too, as you'll see here. Whoop.
Okay. Can I play Pac-Man?
yeah, Pac-Man is not Atari.
Yes, everyone thinks it's Atari.
I could play it.
Yeah, you will be able to have it through the sandbox mode, yes.
You're on
Sandbox
to
mode, meaning you have to
something,
emulate it. It's not going to be included.
I'm bringing up Pong and Space Invaders and Pac-Man. I have to say.
This is video game culture, right? You know. So it's
Love this guy.
deep
Which
knowledge.
demographic are you going after? I mean, would you really go after retired people like myself, seniors like myself, on the grounds that you can play Pong and Space Invaders and Pac-Man?
Well, I think we're going, to with a very, very broad audience. Everyone would basically need.
That's a great question by British Jim because to him, he's in that demographic of those old games where he played them growing up, so he
Right.
might have some interest in it. People our age and younger don't have any interest in paying $300 for a console just so that you can play Pong or Space Invaders or whatever Jim was playing in the pub back in 1979. So watch his response here because this is where you kind of know that what are we marketing here? You can see it in his eyes here as I played here.
Ooh, his name is Stuart Varney.
Stuart,
And on October 29th, 2014, he was served with a divorce request, a 9-year adulterous affair.
You know what? I don't need to bring that up about my buddy Stuart now.
Sorry.
I don't need to bring that up, Ian. That's personal.
That's one of the few things that
Okay.
Wikipedia says about him.
How old is he? He's got to be 65, 66.
How old are you, Stu?
Let's do some pat math.
He's 70.
He's 70? Oh, okay. 70. Okay.
Something in the living room to do what
Living
you just
room.
explained.
Again,
Maybe
living
We're
room.
interested to look into what we're offering. The fact that we have 2 modes. Hey, a first mode where you can have a lot of applications, and then your sandbox mode where you can do what you want.
You kill him if
This is Stuart's not. Stuart is getting good.
Stuart's not into it.
This is a shotgun marketing approach, which almost never works with anything, by the way. We're gonna sell you this console that has all these Atari games that Stuart remembers playing when he was a kid. 60 and 70-year-olds would want to play them potentially, again, if they hadn't figured out a way to play them the past 20 years again. Or we got the sandbox mode that almost no one's going to buy this for. No one's going to buy this to fuck around with it in this little cool shape. Almost
You
no
can play
one.
Pac-Man through sandbox mode.
That means you can't get it on here. Stuart, I'm sorry, Jim. Stuart, I'm sorry you got divorced, Stuart.
And do what you want.
you kill him, Fred. You're killing me. Could I just plug it in and play?
Stuart doesn't care about sandbox.
All kinds of passwords for this. That, and the
Oh, you will need a password, of course, but only one.
You will need a password.
Because it's your machine. But I
Do
To
I
log
get
in.
my grandchildren to hook this thing up?
think, if I were you, I would definitely try it, because it's always good to bond with the kids and with the grandkids. So yes, just for that, yes, that's what I would do.
7-year-olds aren't buying
That's
this.
the beauty of video games.
The
And
complexity
what
is
we've
a
learned that
feature, not a bug.
They tend to play a lot to bond with the kids and the grandkids.
Do you think I could bond with my 4-year-old twin granddaughters playing Pong?
Definitely yes. If not,
No! Okay.
You'll have a private session.
Oh, they'll like it for like 5-10 minutes, but they'll go back to whatever Candy Crush games on their phone. I mean, I'm sure a kid will like playing Pong for a little bit, right? If I was 4 years old, I played Pong, But nowadays, kids have so much more software at their disposal than we did when we were 4. When I was 4, the idea of the all-in-one Pong clones was still it was still out in the marketplace there, and it was dead by that point, by the early 80s. So we had one. We had the Telstar Ranger. But nowadays, it's going to be so quaint that you'll get a little bit of fun out of it, but they're not going to glom onto it. Use that word glom again.
Man, Varney's not.
Don't destroy my view of Varney of Stuart to me. It's pure in my eyes.
Yee.
What did he do now? Did he get arrested for something
In
bad?
an interview on 5 June 2013, Varney said, "We hand down $79 billion every January on these so-called poor people." And then someone says, "You're not being mean to poor people?" And he responded, I am being mean to poor people.
Okay.
Frankly, I am.
So Stuart doesn't like welfare, apparently.
Stuart's
Come on,
awful.
Stuart. Come on, Stu. Let me back this up a bit.
You can bond with your granddaughters by doing some charity work,
Private
you
session.
asshole.
If I buy one, will you supply a technician to come to my house and install it?
Hotline 24/7. No problem.
You're on.
No problem, no
You can
problem,
take
whatever
our
you say.
software.
Yeah, he's not going to tell us. Are you going to tell
No,
us?
we can. Look, we're going to have different systems, but the entry point will be $249, and then we have
thought
also
$200.
and we've also rebooted and redesigned the old classic joystick, so that will be announced later this year. But there's a new
They
joystick.
didn't reboot it.
that
It's
comes
off
with
the
machine.
shelf, it looks like.
And that's the entry point, and
just
then
for possible.
and then you can add more memory. We will have more pricier options.
what a
Is
fucking
that a sample
disaster.
which you're leaving here, or do you
Oh,
I'm not
Stuart.
giving the sample.
you're not giving me that sample? I don't blame you, fella. I
Stuart
really
wants a
don't blame you.
freebie.
Fred Chenet, look, thank you very much for
It's just
bearing
wood.
with me and about Pong and Space Invaders. I do think that's very exciting because you're bringing a whole bunch of stuff together for the living.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, Stuart. It's not exciting. See, Stuart is someone that hasn't played a video game in 40 years, apparently.
Stuart
he
hates
doesn't know the
poor
market.
people.
He said you're bringing together Pong. This has been brought together dozens of times in the past by various all-in-one consoles and mini consoles and collections. You know what I mean? Like, this is not...
Stu wasn't impressed. He wasn't impressed in general, and the little bit he was impressed by
Was Pong.
was just something he didn't realize had already occurred a billion times before.
And this is why I think Stu, we saw the humanity of Stu going back to 1975 playing Pong in the pub. Maybe if Stu played that Pong, he wouldn't be so down on like welfare and and things of that nature. I mean, it's probably like an old conservative sort of British bloke that that see video games, it warms your heart and it makes you more open to people and nice and you melt.
Yeah. I mean, if he had played more, then his favorite video game would probably not be I am being mean to poor people. Frankly, I am.
He might have been being cheeky.
His
maybe.
other favorite game is
cheeky,
his other favorite game is 9-Year Adulterous Affair.
And Stu is my guy because he was asking the proper questions there. He was trying to say, like, what's the market for this? And Fred couldn't give him a response.
Fred Flintstone didn't say anything.
All Fred said was, well, we have two different things. We had the sandbox, which now they didn't really push the sandbox thing before.
Well, no, because now they have they've realized that they're fucked on their own front end and anything they really thought they were going to do. They're going to include it, but now
it's a tinker toy.
Now they're pitching it as something else, which is exactly what they're doing.
There was called pivoting.
This is
They're
not
pivoting.
We're still. When is this thing supposed to come out?
They said December. They said maybe the beginning of next year.
They don't have any. They still have no clue what they're doing with this. So sandbox mode means they're going to throw Linux on it or whatever, and let you just
install whatever.
Yeah, you can install whatever you want on there.
Install Microsoft
and
Windows.
That's going to be, as evidenced by this, that's going to be the new selling point. As they no longer have anything to say about what they originally promised, they're just going to pivot to new selling points.
$249 is the starting price, and that's for, like, I guess the Onyx Black version, not even the one that people are going to buy, which is the fake wood grain front faceplate one. That was good. Stuart did a good job without realizing it, because Stuart
did. I mean,
without realizing it, because
I'll give Stu credit for this.
He's a good journalist. He may not like how his marriage went, but what that showed is that he was trying to get around for, like, who are you selling this product to? What's the market?
And what's it actually going to offer me out of the box?
And the games that I want to play, will, like, my grandkids want to play them with me? Like, in theory, he's the market for those 40-year-old games. They're now 40-year-old games. Atari VCS era and Pong are 40-plus-year-old games. I know it's sad to say. They're 40 fucking plus years old.
Yep.
So he's trying to think, is this for me? Is it for my grandkids? And he didn't want to hear about the fucking sandbox Linux shit. Stuart doesn't know what Linux is. He doesn't care. Stuart just remembers playing Pong in a pub with a paddle or playing Space Invaders. That's all Stuart remembers.
Stuart knows Linux is the operating system for poor people.
He was being cheeky, Ian. He was being cheeky about that. He didn't mean it. I'm going to stand up for my buddy Stuart here.
All right.
Stand up for my buddy Stuart.
Weird hill to die on.
I'll buy it's not a hill to... But anyway, that was enlightening, though.
Yeah.
Because you can almost... Fred the CEO wasn't deer in headlights look, but...
Yeah.
He's a step away from that where it's like, yeah, we don't know what our marketing message kind of is.
Yeah, you could tell because he opened his mouth and fucking nothing came out. Just words. Just words came out. Nothing of any substance or meaning. The only new thing is sandbox.
All right, I'm a fan of Stewart's now just because of that. He was being cheeky. All right, Ian.
Yes.
We haven't talked about an NWC sale in a bit.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
So
and this is one that, this was breaking news.
My buddy Lincoln texted me
Our
late
pal
last night
Lincoln.
about this. So yeah, a Nintendo World Championships went up on eBay for $13,500. Buy it now and sold.
Probably almost immediately because
10 minutes was what I heard. It was like
So-
no more than 10 minutes.
so in 10 minutes, a save search usually comes once a day. That would take probably after the next day, at least mine do. If you had this on your save, this might have been a bot searching for it or someone randomly searching for it. Or it could have been just a bot alert. You can set up bots, I guess, to probably text you when this shit goes on at this point. So, an instant buy at $13,500. When we lowered the volume on here, we don't need to listen to Stuart anymore there. $13,500 was like a price what these were going for about 4 to 5 years ago. Like that was sort of the price. And then they started jumping up to like 15. I think the last couple went for like 20,000. I heard one might went for over 20,000. I don't track this stuff at all. I have to say, yes, I own this, so I don't want to pump up the price. My ethics. One might have went for 25 grand. That's probably something that's possible if it was like a really good condition one. This one is number 273. The condition is pretty good as these go. There's not a lot of like glue bleed through. The label isn't all torn up. So, it's fine. the buyer, excuse me, the seller said, I very much regret having to sell this, but life happens, and I hope it goes to a good home. I plan to sell many other NWC related rarities soon, so please keep watching. I've had multiple surgeries. I need to pay for that, and that's that. Man, we can just pay for this shit without having to sell our treasured fucking carts.
Capitalism.
Well, it's not necessarily capitalism with this. Well, I guess
It is.
well, the fact that we have a bullshit health insurance industry is capitalism.
Yes.
This cart leaves my house with much regret, but best of luck and happy bidding. Feel free to send any questions my way. The cart was originally bought from a former Nintendo gameplay counselor, the folks at Nintendo of America headquarters that used to answer phone questions on how to get past tough spots in games, and was given the cart in order to practice it to demonstrate gameplay to those at the original NWC 19. That's a cool providence.
Yeah.
And he bought it in 2004 or 5.
Some neat story behind it. So, from what my buddy, my pal, my friend has told me, this collector was a collector from long ago, kind of disappeared from the scene for a while, and looks like they were operating on prices from when they stopped. I mean, he says happy bidding, so I mean,
There was no bidding.
It was put up at $13,500 by him, thinking that was a high price.
Unless you can also have, we didn't see when it started. There's also the option to have a bidding start below with the buy it now.
Yeah,
There's a possibility he might have put it up at $11,000 or buy it now at $13,500. You can do that as well.
that's what I'm saying essentially. Well, I mean, who knows what his starting bid was? But
I didn't see.
obviously,
I didn't see there was a starting bid. I didn't see it.
I feel like, yeah, at 13, if he says happy bidding at $13.50, that means he thinks $13.50 is high end.
Yeah, if there was a bidding start, maybe he started at 10 or 11. I don't know. You have to be there to see it because there's no record of that here. So someone saw, I was like, holy shit, I'm getting a deal.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, the starting price was $9,000. You can click on the
Gotcha.
$9,000 or buy it at 13. Yeah, because this would have went for a hell of a lot more than 13,000. At this point in time, this would have went for 1920.
Yeah, that was a huge.
Someone
hugely
saved
misjudged.
Someone saved $7,000 by doing this.
Yep.
So it's interesting because this has only really done this the past, I say, year or two where this stuff shot up, because I would have told you even a couple of years ago that, yeah, an NWC probably go for like $15,000, $16,000. But I think how we talk about other people from the hobby coming in to monetize it with WADA, now someone probably figured, oh, I can flip this for $25,000, $30,000. And they may not be wrong. They may send it to WADA, or maybe someone wants it for their collection. There's some people that look for these and don't want to pay. If you go on a Nintendo page, someone might say, yeah, I'll sell mine for $20,000 or $22,000, and maybe it's like, holy shit, this is my chance to get one. If I was still looking for one and didn't have one, Ian, and I saw this, yeah, Pat might have dropped $13,000 on this. If I know it's going for $20,000, absolutely.
Really nice looking label.
Yeah, mine's not bad, but this one's good. It's good. $273. There's a little smudge above the Nintendo thing, a little smudge. The condition's not going to matter on a lot of these, I don't think. I just don't. Except for the two without a label. And they're trying to say, well, there's Providence, this being the Mario one with no I don't know about that. I think people want a clean copy, to me. Is there really a story behind the Mario one besides the fact that people know about it from it being on eBay years and years back and no one wanting it? The Stepford child of the NWC carts, basically. I saw that happen with the the same events with the scratched out face.
Yeah.
The guy, I saw that, I think, on one of these websites saying, well, this is the famous one with the face scratched out. It's like, well, I've seen that at conventions. I know the people that in the past have probably owned it, it's interesting, but I mean,
it's amusing, and it's probably not going to, hurt the price a ton in the long run, but trying to sell it as a feature is silly.
Well, let's put it this way. Stadium events, I don't think are ever going to catapult up in price like these NWCs. They're different types of artifacts. Sure. It's just a really rare variant versus something that's people say is historically significant, and it's like the grail of game collecting. I hate using the word grail. Can't think of another name than that. So someone got a good deal on this. Unfortunately, the seller might have realized I fucked up. I wonder if the seller's going to complete this. The seller can always say, I'm not selling to you, and relist it. It'd be dishonorable, but they can do that. That's happened to people in the past. They listed something, didn't realize it.
Oh, yeah.
And they go, why is this sold so quickly?
Yeah.
He might have looked online and be like, well, Is this even on price charting? Does price charting track this stuff, or video game the value now? Nintendo. Let's see what's on the Nintendo World Championship. Let's see. So no, there's not really a listing, is there? Oh, there is. So okay. So when you look it up on price charting, the loose price is at $13,298. So that tells me that he might have looked that up and says that's the price, not realizing that no, that's not the proper price.
That's an average that's been pumped up by recent sales.
Or no, that includes sales from what sales does that include? There's two. Okay, the only sales on here are private sales. I'm glad they're including private sales now. The last two NWCs before this one on price charting was 2015. One went for $8,800, but then you go to 2017 April, 19,000 private sale. I believe that was the Howard Phillips stuff, I believe. And then 2019, 23,000.
That's what I'm saying. The recent sales are bringing that average up, but not to the price where they need to be. That's why he's looking at it thinking.
I'm saying I don't think these last two sales were included potentially in here, because if you average out the last three sales. We'll just say the last three. We'll do some calculator math here. So 23,000 plus 19,000 plus 8,800 is 50,800 divided by 3. That's 16,933. That's what the price charting price should have said. And if it had said that, our buddy here probably would have listed the buy it now like 17,000 and probably still would have hit it. So price charting, I don't think incorporated these, because when you have a game like this isn't a game like Contra. You're selling 30 in a month or 50 in a month. If you're selling one game on average every year and a half, you can't incorporate the averages from the past 15 sales. You got to do the last few years. So I think this is the algorithm was off for here. So that's why this guy mispriced this.
Sure.
Which is funny now because now this sale is going to be put into the system here, and it's going to fuck up the whole average again. So the average probably should have been like 17,000, something like that, 18,000. So it's interesting. Someone got a bargain, unless this guy decides I want to relist it at 18,000. Buy it now. I'm going to put that odds of 2-1 on that. We'll see. Anything else to add? Okay. Ian, an article from Polygon came out that's been we've been asked to talk about it by 3 other people. It's from Owen Good. Anti-loot box bill poses a real threat to sports video games. How else are those billion-dollar licenses paid? So it incorporates, the article talks about, we talked about how the senator has a legislation, Senator Josh Hawley, anti-microtransaction legislation that is looking to get rid of loot boxes. And then it talks about how in sports games, especially like the FIFA stuff, and in like NBA 2K stuff, how loot boxes have sort of been more integrated the past years. I've seen you can do like the unwrappings of and getting certain guys and shit.
You buy card
FIFA.
packs.
You buy you're opening card packs.
You buy card packs. Literally, at least that's what it used to be. That's what they would call them. And basically, you use the members that you use the athletes that you unlock in those packs to play a game of soccer. So basically, that's your recruiting pool is who you acquire through these card packs. Ultimate team modes,
Yes.
FIFA Ultimate.
So you basically are trying to do your own side team, and you are basically gambling, opening card packs to get players.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
And people are spending lots of money to get this.
Yeah. And there are ways where you can, you can earn the packs for free as well. But yes, this is a mode that's been around for quite some time at this point.
Okay.
And I think as this, article is stating, with things like sports games, that extra revenue is actually, to a degree, very important because they're paying for, sports licenses that are astronomical.
Yeah.
But
well, famously, the Madden has NFL locked up for like 5 years in advance,
Yes.
almost like continually.
Mm-hmm.
There hasn't been another NFL games, what, 2K5?
ESPN NFL 2K5.
2K5.
Yep.
We're up 15 years now with a monopoly.
That was the last licensed one.
Wow. So, obviously, the NFL can name their own price.
Yeah.
They can say, all right, we want $150 million a year. And it could be that much. I don't know. $100 million a year for the player's license as well as the team license. And, yeah, you want to make as much money to make back that investment if you're EA. We get that. Or if you're, well, EA also does the FIFA series, right? Yes. So they have all the license to that. The Konami series doesn't have that, correct? They don't have the FIFA license. The Konami, what's
Pro Evolution Soccer.
Yeah, they don't.
Don't.
So there's a lot of money to be made here, and they understand that they got to make the money back. I wonder though if it'll get to the point where, first off, I don't think. Looking at this article, this isn't a pro loot box article. It's just postulating if getting rid of loot boxes will affect these games, right? Would these companies be able to survive and put out these games and make a profit? Probably. They'd be able to turn a profit, not a huge profit. What is they're pointing to what, $800 million?
I was going to say, yeah. So it says here that FIFA Ultimate Team delivers an estimated $800 million as of 2017, probably more today.
Just the FIFA game.
Just FIFA Ultimate Team.
Just the FIFA microtransactions.
$800 million.
Holy fuck.
$800 million to EA's live services revenue, which in its most recent fiscal year was $2.2 billion.
$2.2 billion on EA's microtransactions a year. Of those, $800 million potentially just from one game.
$800 million from FIFA, $2.2 billion total from all their online games in a year.
You don't think there's going to be lobbyists in Washington like next month on behalf of these AAA publishers to make sure this money's not lost?
Oh, there will be.
This is going to be a battle. This is going to be a legal battle.
Yeah,
coming. Like a big one.
So Hawley says basically,
Senator Hawley.
He knows what he's talking about to a degree. He's carved out, ways for certain things to be allowed in, such as cosmetics and stuff, as long as they're not gambled on.
He did an interview with Jason Schreier. We didn't see that.
And but yeah, so basically it's saying, you can still sell things, but you're not going to get, Ultimate Team type money, as it says here, by selling extra soccer kits and ball designs. There is a point where that pay to win stuff needs to, unfortunately, have an impact on the game for them to generate that kind of money.
Well, it looks like Senator Hawley, he's a freshman senator from Missouri. He's a younger guy, so he kind of understands it. He's not some 7-year-old guy like Stuart who doesn't know about the video game. So so he knows what he's been following this, obviously. Maybe he has kids or something or the people's kids that he's seen this happen to. So it's interesting that we missed this article when it came out at the time. He has a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. So he's on top of this. He knows what this can potentially be.
Right.
So it's interesting just because this is not a bill that could potentially make this senator popular. This is a bill that it goes at people's money purses, and there's no real advantage to him for doing this other than he believes in it, potentially believes in it. Maybe he's a politician that wants to do right. He thinks it's right. You know what I mean? This isn't like an anti-violence bill, something that's ridiculous. This is something that he's aiming at kids potentially spending too much money, potentially is gambling to him, and I think he's right in a lot of ways. So if this went through and passed here, would this end these sports games? No, it probably wouldn't. They would just find a way around this somehow. Or they're going to have to go back to the NBA or go back to the NFL and say, we can't spend the $100 million a year on this license or whatever. You got to help us out or else there's going to be no game. You're going to have to help us. But since they've sort of brought this upon themselves, since now that they're publicly traded companies, the investors expect these profit margins each year. They're going to expect them to make up this money if it goes away. This $2.2 billion is a lot of profit to potentially disappear.
Yes.
Not disappear. Okay, in the U.S., it's a chunk of it. It'll still be in Europe and Asia, wherever else potentially. But it's an interesting situation. I don't know. This is going to something that might go to the Supreme Court. You're going to see them talking about loot boxes 2 years from now in the Supreme Court potentially because of this.
That is wild.
You're going to see some senators, say like, well, it's a free market, let it do, and others be like, no, it's bullshit. This is gambling. Let's see where the lobbyists, who they sink their hooks into, Republicans and Democrats. We'll see who comes out on what side of this. It'll be hard to tell.
It's going to be interesting to see where the line is drawn.
It might be all over for something like this.
It's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be a pasta noodle.
It's going to be a pasta noodle.
Yeah.
It's going to be a wagon wheel.
Yeah.
What are the wagon wheels called?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Ian, do you want to talk about the article about the game store closing in Canada?
No.
Doesn't interest you? There was an article about a game store closing in Canada. They can't compete with the other game stores. And it's sort of the sad fact of life that we talked about before. About it's just hard to compete.
Yes.
GameStop or with Target, and even with retro stuff, there it's tough. There. Okay. Ian, do we have a Tales from the Game Store?
We do not.
2 weeks in a row, Ian.
Not forcing it.
The fans are gonna come. They're gonna come after you. They're gonna. We can't sell those Tales from the Game Store T-shirts. Wait a minute. Tales from the Game Store T-shirts. Wait, what? With Ian's face on them? But we do have a Patreon Q&A.
We do. Patreon is Patreon is the thing where you go to patreon.com/CU podcast and you hit a button.
You hit a button?
You hit a button that takes money out of your account.
No, it doesn't take money out of your account. Well,
okay,
I mean,
it doesn't?
Your credit card gets charged at the end of the month, but hitting a button won't do it directly. It's not like you hit a button and I'm out $5.
We can simplify it. You hit the button, it takes the money, you get content. You get
there you go.
The full podcast. You get some writings. You get polls every week.
Will there be a writing?
Yes.
This week, Ian?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so there you go. Go do it.
Go do it. No tchotchkes will be mailed. Well, maybe if Ian wants to mail you a bird box, he'll do that.
Maybe.
All right, so this is the poll we do every week. In third place at 14%, will Nintendo ever have a, quote, dedicated handheld console again? 14% wanted that. You know why? The question is probably no. They will probably not. It's going to be hybrids probably going forward. At 37%, why is the term doesn't age well problematic with video games? 37% strong. Sometimes that wins 37%. But in first place, it's another Pat-centric question. Would Pat have collected NES games with today's prices? Okay, so I guess we have to role play here. It's the mindset of Pat from 20 years ago, 15 years ago, even 10 years ago. Starting fresh now, we'll just say...
Pat play is not something I enjoy.
What?
Pat play.
Pat play?
Role play.
Oh, role play. Okay.
I mean, you put your name in front of everything, so I just figured Pat play made sense.
But I didn't do that. You did.
Yeah. I'm
mean, you can't say you
continuing
hate
the
it.
tradition.
But it was a tradition. You just broke it. Anyway, so okay, it's middle class Pat. We'll just say I'm pulling in, 60, 70,000 a year. Living in San Diego, which was top 10 most expensive places to live. Would I be starting to collect, going for, I'll just say a full set with today's prices? No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I would not be doing that. I would still be going to the swap meets and trying to get deals here and there, because it's fun for me to do that. You know, I've been in a swap meet like 6 months almost. Holy shit! I haven't been in this year, in 2000.
Really?
Wow. Ian's shocked. Ian, if this was the past, I'd be like exploding, like going to the swap meet. This is what I would probably do. Say I had a collection to start at 50 or 100 games, and I wanted to get, I would probably focus on, looking at a certain NES app that maybe someone else would have done, and maybe looked at what are the games in the $10 to $15 range and below that I want to get that are cool or even kitschy, like the Supercars game that's at Luna Video Games or was for like $16. I would probably focus on those under $50 games,
right? And
sort of just see what I could do there and wait for a deal to come about with the expensive ones. Maybe I get lucky and find, a Zombie Nation at the swap meet, which happened to me once and happened to someone else I knew, or a Little Samson or a Box Adventure. These are things that have been found. But I think I'd be, if it was the prices today that, even though they've gone down the past few years, are still inflated from when they were 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I think I would just be looking at the focus smaller sets. I'd be looking at, okay, maybe I get all the Konami games. Most of them are cheap. I would get maybe, I can still get all the games that came out like in 86, or all the games came out 86, 87. Most of those are relatively
You
cheap
could
because
get the
they're
black
common.
box games.
Get the black box. I'd probably buy all the black box games. Maybe in the box, I'd splurge and get those. And be like, oh, I get maybe $40 for a stack of $500. But when I would go out and get all those expensive Color Dreams games and bunch games, blue cart games, no, absolutely not. All those AV games that are expensive, would I spend $80 on a chiller? No.
Right.
I absolutely would not do that. I wouldn't spend $100 on Mermaids of Atlantis, whatever it goes for nowadays. I wouldn't buy
Master Who and the Drunkard Chew.
Operations. Oh, that's a little bit cheaper.
Master
But
Chew and the
Operation Secret Storm, I would not go out and buy.
What about Raid 2020?
Maybe Raid 2020?
God.
I would still get a Wally Bear.
Yes,
I
you
would have got a Wally Bear yesterday, and I would have gotten all the Wisdom Tree games yesterday because those are not super expensive besides Sunday Fun Day, and I would go for those. And Bible Buffet. I found Bible Buffet at the swap meet. The problem was I already bought it. A lot of these games I found in the swap meet after I bought
Bible
them.
Buffet is useless without the manual, anyways.
For the trivia questions,
Yeah.
I think you can get past or whatever. Oh, I bought the trivia thing from the ex-employee.
Yeah.
That's right. I didn't have that. It was an official little trivia thing. I felt oh. Anyway, from Brenda. That's right, Brenda. Was it Brenda? Brenda from Wizard Tree used to own all the stuff before she sold them all to someone else. Anyway, so I think that's what I would focus on. I would focus on targeted sets, being that if I didn't have a lot of money to spend on it, and plus, even if I have a lot of money to spend, I don't want to spend it all on all these. I just don't want to spend all on these games. I don't want to spend. What does a DuckTales 2 go for nowadays?
150 at least
for the cart.
Yeah,
DuckTales.
I think it might be lower.
DuckTales 2. 157 on price charting. Okay. So like I said, I don't think I would have it in me to go and spend, probably if I was going to buy every loose cart, even minus Steam events, $15,000 or something, or $13,000, whatever that would have cost to get 800 NES games, something like that. Because you have two games that are $2,000 right there, and you got a bunch of games that are in the hundreds range, like $10,000. Maybe I get all the games. I don't know. Without Steam events, I don't think I'd have it in me to do that. Plus it's not as fun to buy them on eBay. I always said it wasn't fun to even complete the collection on eBay. It just wasn't.
Sure.
It took me 2.5, 3 years to get the last 4 games I needed, to get the porno games, to get the adult games.
Yeah.
So I would probably have a targeted collection. What about you? And if this was you, I mean, you're not a collector, but
no, I mean,
you say fuck it, just get a flash card and be done.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm doing. In I don't know, but by the time these prices were going up, I was already disinterested in the NES and all the other systems that I collect for. Even the expensive ones like PC Engine, I'm not going for a full set. So yes, I'm going to keep collecting for those because I just take my time and every once in a while buy a game I want for it. But I would definitely not, I think it's hard for anyone to look at what it's at now and think that now is the time to go for a full set.
But people are selling them off here and there, so maybe some of the prices come down on some of them, but the resellers grab them, so then the prices stay up for the rare stuff. It's tough. It's tough to gauge totally.
It is.
It's $400 for a complete one. Wow. Got a good deal at Luna Video Games, 2 locations.
Complete what?
DuckTales 2. Got mine for $40 back in 2008 or 9.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
2009. 10 years, Ian. I moved here 10 years ago almost. You believe that?
I can.
You've known me for 11 years. Is that shocking to you to hear that?
It is.
Are you a better man for knowing me over those 11 years?
I am who I am today.
That's true. That's a good way to skirt the issue. That was like Fred answering from Stewart right there. He dodged that Stewart curveball. We'll call him Atari Fred from now on.
Atari Fred.
And British bloke Stewart. We'll get Stu over here. You'll like Stu after talking to him for a bit. He'll soften. Stu's gonna soften in his old age, his old 7-year-old adulterous ways. So he's gonna soften.
Like his stool.
Why you gotta go there on Stu? Stuart Stool? Stooly Stool?
Stuart the Stoolie.
All right. Anyway, Ian. Okay, so yeah, I would have probably still collect, but not near the volume. That's the answer there. Thanks for the Patreon question, though.
Woo!
We'll try to keep a Pat-centric one every week. Nice Chun-Li thigh right there. Just staring at me. Her shiny...
Thick thighs save lives.
Her shiny baby oil thigh. Just staring at me right there. All right, Ian, is that it for the CU podcast?
Yeah, it's been about 2 hours.
It's been a bit. It's been a bit. So I'll be at Too Many Games. Too Many Games. Too Many Games. June 21st to 23rd in Oaks, PA, which some call me Johnny. Tommy Dreamer's going to be there. Wow, Tommy Dreamer. Okay.
All right.
Vinny from Vine Sauce. Boogie 2988. The Runaway Guys. James Rolfe. Chocolate Conroy. Well, I don't think I've seen it since a MagFest like a long time ago. And Scott the Waz. I keep hearing more about Scott the Waz being a good content creator more and more. So go to toomanygames.com for more information there. And then, then me and Ian will be running around Comic-Con 6 weeks from now. Woo! With our pal Frank Cifaldi. Maybe my pal James and Ian's friend James will be there as well. Might have an announcement to make with that soon. That's a podcast for me. It's noon. I can get some food. Ian can go home and hang out and do some writing.
Mm-hmm.
While you want to stream a little bit afterwards. Ian doesn't like streaming anymore. Ian doesn't love me. He doesn't like streaming anymore.
Going home.
Ian's going home.
Getting
All right.
a sandwich.
That's Ian Ferguson on Pat Country. We'll see you in a week.
Toodles.